Thousands of protesters stormed the streets of U.S. cities of Portland and Minneapolis against ICE deployment and operations in Maine and Minnesota, respectively. In Portland, the demonstration was orderly and attracted a minimal police presence as speakers criticized the enforcement surge and people held signs with slogans such as "ICE Out Maine" and other slogans. The enforcement action began Tuesday and has succeeded in removing dangerous criminals from the community, Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement to media on Thursday. Some of the more than 100 arrests were of people convicted of horrific crimes, including aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and endangering the welfare of a child, McLaughlin said. The detentions in Maine, a mostly rural state where about 4% of the 1.4 million residents are foreign-born, have sparked anxiety in Portland and Lewiston, which are home to sizable immigrant and refugee populations, particularly from African nations. Community leaders say that just like in other U.S. cities where the agency has surged forces, some families are staying indoors, avoiding work, and keeping children home from school for fear of arrest.
It is really cold out here right now. There's definitely a lot of ice and snow around, but I think me as well as the other protesters are really determined to be here despite the conditions. And it's important for me to be here because I want to stand here with other like-minded individuals and support people who feel scared to even go out to the grocery store or to attend classes at USM. It's really heartbreaking, and I want to support people in protest ICE being here.
In Minneapolis, thousands gathered, despite Arctic temperatures, in downtown city to protest the Trump administration's crackdown. Friday's protests are part of a broader movement against President Donald Trump's increased immigration enforcement across the state, with labor unions, progressive organizations, and clergy urging Minnesotans to stay away from work, school, and even shops in Minneapolis and St. Paul.
The Bible says in more than 30 places, do not oppress the immigrant. And what's happening here is clearly immoral. It is against the values of our faith. And so I felt called to be here to witness and to act in this moment. Honestly, I don't love the cold. It's definitely chilly, but the kind of ice that is a danger to us is not the weather.
We want ICE out of Minnesota. We don't want them doing illegal things here in Minnesota. And we want them to obey the Constitution. There's a legal way to go about getting people that are felons out, but they're not necessarily the immigrants.
Happening is not the vision for America. It's not my vision for America. There needs to be more empathy. And what's happening to people here in Minneapolis and other parts of the country, it's too much. It's not right. There needs to be due process. And I encourage people to read the history books. What's happened in the past in other countries, even here in the U.S., history is repeating itself and it needs to stop.
How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America?
After massive outrage over a 5-year-old boy's detention by ICE agents in Minnesota, Vice President J.D. Vance has defended the federal agents' actions. During a briefing in Minneapolis, Vance said the boy's father was an illegal alien.
Well, I'm proud of the fact that we're standing behind law enforcement, and I'm proud of the fact that we're enforcing the country's laws. But, you asked a question about this 5-year-old kid. I actually saw this terrible story while I was coming to Minneapolis. We just left Toledo, Ohio this morning for an economic messaging event. And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy. And I think to myself, oh my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense. Now, you know, there are so many of these cases like that where if you just understand the context, there have been a number of situations that I've looked into personally where I say, wait a second, we don't want ICE arresting American citizens. They're supposed to be enforcing the immigration laws against illegal aliens. So then I look into it and I find out that the American citizen who was arrested took a swing at an ICE officer. You can't have that happen. And of course they have to defend themselves. And of course they have the right to detain somebody who assaults a law enforcement officer.
Federal agents took 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos from a running car in the family's driveway Tuesday afternoon. Columbia Heights Public Schools Superintendent Zena Stenvik was quoted by the Associated Press as saying, "The officers told him to knock on the door to his home to see if other people were inside, essentially using a 5-year-old as bait," she said. Department of Homeland Security's Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin denied allegations of using the 5-year-old child as a bait. According to the official, ICE agents conducted an operation to nab Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias, whom they dubbed an illegal alien from Ecuador, who was allowed into the U.S. by the Joe Biden administration.
As agents approached, Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias fled on foot, abandoning his child. For the child's safety, one of our ICE officers remained with the child while the other officers apprehended Conejo Arias. Our officers made multiple attempts to get the alleged mother, who was inside the house, to take custody of her child. Officers even assured her she would not be taken into custody. The alleged mother refused to accept custody of the child. The father told officers he wanted the child to remain with him, Laughlin added.
The family's lawyer, Mark Procish, said Thursday that he assumes Liam and his father are in a family holding cell, but that they have not been able to have direct contact with them. According to an AP report, families have alleged that children are malnourished, extremely ill, and suffering from prolonged detention at the Dilley lockup. Vance has blamed far left for deportation efforts, evoking a stern response from Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey.
So it sounds like J.D. Vance is taking a whole lot of my talking points, but not all of them. He said, quote, "Come out and protest, but do it peacefully." That sounds exactly like what I've been saying since the very first moments following the shooting of Renee Good. Protest peacefully, but don't take the bait. Don't counter the chaos of Donald Trump with our own brand of chaos here. And so to the extent he's telling people to protest peacefully, we're in agreement. Second, and quote, "We want to enforce the laws on one hand, while on the other making sure people in Minneapolis are able to go about their day." It sounds a lot to me like he wants to be mayor of the city, only he's only been here for 2 hours, whereas we in this city have been working through these issues and this chaos for the last several weeks. Peace is not spraying irritants and chemicals at peaceful protesters. It's not detaining a 5-year-old. It's not dragging a pregnant woman through the streets. You achieve peace by working directly with communities. You lower crime by strategically going after people that have committed it. The vice president said he would love to be able to send some of these agents home. You know, there's no disagreement there. We've been encouraging that for weeks. So what's changed? What's changed is the response that we're seeing. What's changed is that we have 3,000 plus ICE agents and border control that are on our streets without a clear plan. What's changed is we've got this huge influx of what feels like an occupation in a city in the upper Midwest. And what's changed is that they are arresting United States citizens. They are detaining people that have done nothing wrong. They're going after people exclusively based on the fact that they look like they're Somali or they look like they are Latino, and no reason beyond that. What we are seeing is this is more about political retaliation. This is more about tragically terrorizing people than it is about safety, than it is even about immigration.